Hello everyone, welcome back to the next lecture of the series of videos on detailing of steel structures using the tekla structure software. In the last video, we have seen about creating the grids. Now in today's lecture, we are looking forward for the next command, that is creating the model and beam. Now you can see this is the working area where I have added this rectangular grid. Now here you have to go to the option steel. In steel, if you click on this, you can see this much part is get highlighted. So here all the different commands which are used to model a steel structure, those are provided. Now in today's lecture, we see how to model a steel column and a beam. So first you have to click on this, create the steel column. If you click on this and then just here the command is written, pick a point to create the column. So in your model, wherever you want to place this column, just you have to go over there and just click at that point. Okay, and then right click, interrupt. You can see the column is get added over here. If you double click on this column, you can see here the properties of column displayed. So name of the member is column. Then profile, here you can see ISMB 400 is the profile. If you want to change the profile of column, here you have to click on these three dots. If you click on these three dots, you can see this window will open up. Here the different profiles of columns are given, like here you can see I profiles are there, L profile, Z profile, U profile, plate. So all the different types of profiles which are used, those are added in this library. So whichever you want, that you have to go over there and just select. Again you can just type over here and just filter also. If I see ISHB, if I want the section, then I will click here ISHB filter. Can see all the ISHB sections are available over here. So I'm selecting this ISHB, apply, OK, and then just you have to click on this modify. You can see the section is get turned to ISHB 400. Similarly here material is given IS2062. By clicking on these three dots, you can change the grade of the material, like if FE 450, FE 490, 510, 540, depending on the requirement, you can select the grade of that material. Just select the grade of material, so click on apply, OK, and just click on modify. The next thing which is given is nothing but what? Class. Class is nothing but the color which you want to display the column. Suppose if I am selecting this class 2 and just click on modify, you can see the column is visible in pink color. Then here there is an option of numbering series. So numbering series, there are two things, part numbering and assembly numbering. So in assembly number, you have to give over here the prefix, like here as this is a column, so by default C is given. You can add the prefix as per your choice, that is COL, CO accordingly. And part numbering means what? Whatever the number of parts got attached with this welded or bolted with this column, those are get numbered as a part numbering, and this will be starts from 1 1, so it will be moves continue in the series. Next option is given as a position. So position of column vertical, for example right now here it is middle. Now if I select here down and click on modify, you can see the column is get shifted to downside. If I click over here up, the column is get shifted to upside. Similarly, if you want, at the time of creating the column, we are creating it at the center. Afterwards you can change the orientation of column vertically and horizontally. So these are the options for vertical. Similarly, the options for horizontal is given, like middle. If I want, you can click on left side, or you can go forward right side. Now the same way, if you want to move it by certain distance only, you can add that distance. Let's say I am adding 100 mm over here and modify. You can see on left side it is get moved just by 100 mm. Okay. Similarly, vertical, if I add over here plus 100, it will move upward by 100 mm. If I add over here minus 100, you can see it will be moved by minus 400 on right side. Okay. Based on the position, you can just change the or get the required position by using these options of positions. Similarly, if I want to rotate this column, Like right now, if I click on this top and click on modify, you can see the column is get changed. The orientation of column is get changed. Okay. Again, back below, these are again the options available to change the orientation of column. Right. Even if you want to change the orientation by certain angle, let's say by 30 degree, you can just put that value 30 and click on modify. You can see by an angle of 30 degree its orientation is get moved. Okay, so based on this position you can adjust the required position of that column. Then top will gives you the height of column, means the top point of the column is at 5000 and bottom is at the 500 minus 500. You can see this in the three-dimensional view. Yes, you can see here bottom minus 500 and top 5000. So if I click over here 0 and just modify, you can see now the column is get modeled from this bottom point. Again, the height of the column you can adjust by using this top, say 3000. So now the column is of height 3000. Next option is given a deformation, like here warping is given. Suppose I'm providing here 200 mm, then you can see the changes. The column is get warped by 200 mm, right? Similarly, if you want, can go for what 100 mm, right? But normally we are modeling the column without warping. It is just a special requirement. Whenever we want, then only we can go for these options. Otherwise, maximum number of times we are modeling it a simple column with zero warping. Similar to that, cambering option is given. Again the same, if you want to camber the column in one particular direction, they can use this channel options like 200. To understand, I will just increase the value as a 500. You can see now it will be get cambered by 500 mm. Okay, so this also done on special requirement, otherwise it will be kept as a 0. Similar to that, shortening of the column, this is also what based on the special requirement. So likewise, whenever you are model the column, you can just change the properties of column by using these different options. And then once you complete this, you can just save this profile as, let's say I'm saving it as a C1, save. So now you can see the C1 option is available over here. So whenever in next time, if I want to create the column over here, just click on this column and then click over here, and no need to adjust, just you have to click on C1. Can see by default all the properties are there. Okay, so like this you can create a columns over here. Now similar to this, if you want to model the beams, in beams there are different options available: beam, polybeam, curved beam, twin profile, orthogonal or spiral beam. So in today's lecture we just see the simple beam. In our next lecture we see the remaining types. So just you have to click over here on beam and then pick the start point for the beam. So here start point and then pick the end point and just right click enter. So beam is get modeled. Now you can see here the start point of the beam, you can see it is shown yellow in color and the end point is shown pink in color. Okay, now normally whenever we are modeling the beam, there is a fixed pattern. We can start from right side towards left side to right side and from top to bottom. You can make in the reverse way also, but it's a suggestion that whenever you model any type of structure, you keep the providing the or modeling the beam in the same pattern along x side and along y side. Now when you double click on the beam, again you can see the properties of beams are open. So first is beam, then here profile of the beam. Again you can, by clicking over here, you can get the required profile of the beam. Then material properties of the beam. Now class of the beam, by default it is 3. If you want, you can just change the class also. Now numbering series similar to the column. Here assembly numbering, as it is a beam, so it starts with B and part will starts with M. Now position of the beam, you can see over here on plane, middle, you can click on right side, so it will be moved down side. If you click left side, it will move upside. Similarly, of the beam that will be adjusted with the help of this top, front, bottom. To understand this, I will just open the three-dimensional view of the beam so that it will be more clear to you guys for understanding. Now you can see this is a beam which is provided like this. So here when you click on this beam, you can see rotation. If I make it front, you can see the beam orientation is get changed. Similarly, if I click on here back, again it turns to the another position below like this. So you can adjust the position of the beam rotation horizontal along the horizontal plane. Similarly, to understand the depth of the beam, here right now it is behind. If I click on middle, you can see it will be shifted to middle. Here if I click on front side, it will be moved on front side. Same way that you can move it by providing the required distances also. Next option is given end offset. Now as I said to you, beam is modeled between 2 points, the starting point and the end point. So starting point of the beam that will be shown with the yellow mark and end will be by pink color mark. So here if I give the offset of at the starting point along dx and say modify, you can see this will be get shortened with a 100 mm distance. Similarly, if I give the offset distance from end side here minus 100, can see it will be get shortened along this side. Okay, same way you can give the offset distances along y direction as well as along z directions. Then the next property is related to deforming. Again deforming, wrapping of the beam, cambering and shortening, these are just similar to the column. If I provide over here the 100 mm and modify, can see the beam is get wrapped. Again as I said, for column it is a special required things, wrapping, cambering and shortening. If it is given, then only you can go for that. Next, one more additional option is available in beam, that is nothing but what? Curve beam. Now by using over here in beam options, there is a special option of curved beam. Over here also you can arrange or mark the or model the curved beam, or else the straight beam also get converted into curved beam. Just you have to mention the radius over here. Let's say if I am making a radius of 100 mm and then you can see the straight beam is get converted into curved beam. If I increase the number of segments, let's say 25, you can see the curve becomes a smooth curve. And if I want a straight beam, just make this radius as a 0. This beam is get turned into straight beam. Okay, so like this you can just model the column and beam in tekla structures. Now in the next lecture again we see the different modeling of different types of beams. With that, thank you.